You're watching OBN Horn of Africa. This is weekly program Diplomacy, and I'm Fantambelete, hosting and producing the program. My guest today is Ambassador of Russian Federation to Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, Ambassador Evgeny Terekhin. Till the end of our program, stay tuned. Ambassador, very warm welcome to the program.
Thank you.
And thank you for your time as well.
It's always a pleasure to meet with you.
Would you tell our audience a little bit about Russia and what Russia is known for, please?
I can say that Russia is the biggest country of the world. It is a country of very diverse culture, very rich culture, and very rich history. It is a country inhabited by the people which is friendly and work-loving, and it is my homeland.
Ethiopia and Russia have long-standing diplomatic and bilateral relations. How do you describe the current Ethio-Russian relationship?
I suppose that one word will be enough: wonderful, really wonderful. Our diplomatic relations were established 125 years ago, and during all this period we were enjoying very nice relations between our two peoples and our two governments. Indifferent of the historical eras which we were passing by, indifferent of political or social orders which were in our countries, the two governments and the two people have always been close one to another, and our relationship has always been based on mutual trust, mutual belief, and mutual coexistence and correction.
There have been various memoranda of agreements and memoranda of understanding and agreements that have been signed between the two countries. How are Russia and Ethiopia working together? How are they working together?
We have quite a number of different agreements signed in different areas, which, of course, you may understand that when there are relationships between two countries and between two governments, and when these two governments are cooperating in different fields, this cooperation should be based on certain legal documents, such as agreements, memorandums, and so on and so forth. And we have a lot of such kind of documents in different spheres. By the way, by chance, just yesterday, I asked my diplomats to count how many new documents were signed during my stay here as an ambassador. And they counted at least 23 or 24 documents in 4 years. So you may see that we have a very extensive work on strengthening the legal basis of our bilateral relations.
What is your reflection on the 2023 BRICS summit that held in Johannesburg in South Africa?
Well, it was really a great event. The 15th BRICS summit in Johannesburg ended with adoption of the final document by the leaders of BRICS countries, the so-called Johannesburg Declaration. The political declaration clearly states the demand for democratization of international relations and increase in the role of the Global South in the mechanisms of global governance, observance of international law and the United Nations Charter in its entirety, and the interconnection of the norms and principles contained therein. In addition to the fact that we must step up the reform of the UN Security Council, the BRICS countries will also continue their coordinated activities to ensure a fair order in such organizations as the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank, as well as the World Trade Organization. The BRICS strategic course is directed to the future and meets the aspirations of the majority of the international community. Acting in harmony on the principles of equality, partnership, support, and consideration of each other's interests, We are dealing with the most pressing issues of the global and regional agendas. The main thing is that we are all unanimous in favor of the formation of a multipolar world order that is truly fair and based on international law, while observing the key principles of the United Nations Charter, including sovereign right and respect for the right of every people to their own development model. We are against any kind of hegemony promoted by certain countries for their alleged exclusivity and based on the postulate of a new policy, the policy of continuing neocolonialism. We are strictly opposed to all the attempts of such kind. The BRICS expansion has been quite rapid and large. The association has replenished with 6 new countries, Ethiopia being among them. The decision that we will also identify, the BRICS expansion has been quite rapid and large. The association was replenished with 6 new countries, Ethiopia being among them. The decision that we will also identify an additional category of partners at the next stage is the result of unification approaches of international political problems and the vision of the future of international relations based on the promotion of objective trends in multipolarity, when new centers of growth, financial power, and political influence are formed. The difference between BRICS and the G7 and other Western-centric structures is that everyone there listens to the United States. Our association, on the opposite, has a completely different approach to work. We have a different, honest way. Equality is ensured for each participant. If someone is not satisfied with this or that decision, then there will be no consensus. If someone has inconvenience, everyone else is trying to do their best to find formulations and solutions that will ensure unity. This means reaching a consensus and not following the commands of the chief boss. Achieving a consensus takes a longer time, of course, but the agreements reached in this way are much more stable, long-term, and more effective. Therefore, the interest in BRICS and the expansion of BRICS is undeniable. By now, there are more than 15 applications on the table for new membership of the association. And I can say that these applications themselves are a clear indicator that there is an element of novelty in BRICS, including geopolitical novelty. Next year, the Russian BRICS chairmanship will work for results. Anyone will have to take this into account. Of course, attempts to put pressure on the BRICS to play on what may be perceived as inconsistencies in approaches will continue. We don't hesitate in this. But we have already passed the path of formation. BRICS is an association that has undeniable weight. It will grow in terms of influence, including on international processes, and the collective West will have to take full account of this one way or another. It is no coincidence that the theme of the meeting in Johannesburg was devoted to BRICS and Africa, a partnership for joint accelerated growth, sustainable development, and inclusive multilateralism. It's not just the venue of the summit. Africa today found itself in the crossroads of interests of various forces, and the inclusion of BRICS in this competition turned out to be very timely. Africans are offered to get away from the eternal choice between, as it was remarked by the President of Russian Federation, Vladimir Putin, between colonialism in a new package and the deprivation of chances for development under the severe pressure of supposedly independent global institutions such as the International Monetary Fund or the World Bank. Modern colonialists, hiding behind the sweet slogans of democracy and human rights, seek to solve their problems at someone else's expense, continuing to drain resources from developing countries without any hesitation. However, a clear signal was sounded in Johannesburg. We got an alternative to it, and a fair world order is not an utopia, but a working program of the new leaders of the world. Now, main attention is focused on finding ways to facilitate mutual trade, economic projects, and investment in a way that does not depend on the system controlled by the US and its Western allies, and will be independent of the dollar and the euro pressure. The BRICS countries deem it necessary to use alternative payment systems. In order to increase the stability of the global financial system, the ministries of finance and central banks of the BRICS member states were instructed to consider the issue of establishing national currencies and a number of payment instruments in settlements. After the establishment of the BRICS New Development Bank, the project of reserve currency pool was developed within the framework of the BRICS States Initiative. This is the forerunner of the steps that we are now planning to take to facilitate the use of national currencies and, most importantly, to form an alternative payment system. Its specification has been entrusted to the finance ministers and chairmen of the central banks of our countries. The documents adopted at the latest BRICS summit contain provisions confirming the commitment of the BRICS countries to the reform of the Security Council of the United Nations in the interest of increasing the representation of developing countries. It mentions India, Brazil, and South Africa as states whose active role in the UN we appreciate and want it to be strengthened within the framework of the Security Council. For the first time in the history of the BRICS, it is written that we support the reform of the UN Security Council through the expansion of the representation of the developing countries and in all categories of membership, which includes permanent membership.
Thank you. As you have been saying, Ethiopia is one of the newly 6 added countries or member countries on the last day of the summit. What does Ethiopia get as a benefit from joining these BRICS?
First of all, I would like to remind that Russia has played a key role in the issue of Ethiopia's joining the BRICS. The official representative of the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Russian Federation, Maria Zakharova, on August 28 this year confirmed at a press conference that Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov made a colossal diplomatic effort in making Ethiopia a full member of the BRICS. Ethiopian Prime Minister Dr. Abiy Ahmed has said that his country's membership in the BRICS mechanism will further strengthen growing South-to-South cooperation. In his video message, which followed the decision of the BRICS leaders, he noted that the recognition and the influence of the BRICS in the international arena is growing, and countries around the world are showing interest in joining the BRICS. Dr. Abiy expressed his gratitude to all 5 BRICS member countries for supporting his country's admission to the association and stressed that Ethiopia will continue to work actively towards becoming the voice of Africa beyond its borders. In addition, the Prime Minister also said that Ethiopia will continue to make efforts to expand its role and participation in multilateral diplomacy in the international arena. I believe that Ethiopia's accession to the BRICS will lead to a strengthening of partnership relations between Russia and the African continent and Ethiopia especially. In turn, this move will help Ethiopia become an even more influential force in the region and gain access to new markets. Ethiopia's participation in the BRICS will stimulate the development of its economy and infrastructure, as well as help strengthen its political and foreign policy status. In addition, joining the BRICS will make Ethiopia a more attractive partner for other countries and investors, which contributes to the inflow of foreign capital and the development of trade relations. At the same time, the country will have to adapt to the new realities that accompany BRICS membership. Ethiopia's accession to the BRICS can help strengthen the position of association in Africa. Ethiopia, being one of the largest and most developed countries of the continent, can become a partner for other BRICS members in solving important regional and international issues. Ethiopia's activities framework of the BRICS will contribute to strengthening political stability in the Horn of Africa region, allowing Addis Ababa to strengthen its ties with other countries and develop cooperation in the field of security, combating terrorism, and peaceful resolution of conflicts.
What's your general comment on the keynote speech heads of state of the founding nations made on the summit?
Let me myself stop first of all on commenting the speech by my president, Vladimir Putin. So, the president of Russian Federation took part in the BRICS summit video link, as you know. In his speech, the president recalled that BRICS opposes the policy of neocolonialism pursued by the West and the policy of Western hegemony, and supports the formation of a multipolar world. He also stressed that in 2024, when Moscow assumes the chairmanship of the BRICS, Russia will interact in the most constructive way with its partners in order to further strengthen the role and authority of the BRICS, which will certainly grow. Next year, the BRICS chairmanship will pass to Russia. Our chairmanship will be held under the motto strengthening multilateralism for equitable global development and security. Russian President Vladimir Putin proposed creating a commission on transport issues in the frameworks of BRICS, with the North-South International Transport Corridor project, but also in a broader sense with the development of logistics and transport corridors, international, interregional and global. The Russian president also called the expanding settlements in national currencies and interbank cooperation. He noted that Russia will contribute to increase the role of our states in the international monetary and financial system, developing interbank cooperation, expanding the use of national currencies, and deepening interaction through tax, customs, and anti-monopoly authorities. We greatly appreciate that the countries of Africa are extremely friendly towards Russia. For its part, Russia is sincerely interested in the further deepening of multilateral ties with the African continent, and we fully actively promote these ties in practice and implement new joint projects in various fields.
Dear esteemed viewers, you are watching OBN Horn of Africa Diplomacy Program. Keep on watching us. By the way, BRICS is not, after adding 6 member states, has now become BRICS Plus, as you have been saying. What are the major benefits of this BRICS Plus for Africa and Global South?
Objective factors determine the place and significance of BRICS in today's world and its potential to influence the formation of global agenda. The numbers speak for themselves. Let me quote some of them. The population of the association member states was more than 40% of the world population, and their territory exceeded a quarter of the world's land area. These figures were taken on the eve of the summit. Now they are even more after a session of 6 new member states. I really don't know the precise ones, but we will quote next time, I hope. According to experts' estimates, in 2023, the BRICS 5, the initial member states, will provide about 31.5% of the world GDP at purchasing power parity. While the share of the G7 in this indicator has fallen to 30%. So we have already overcome G7 to this regard. Today, the BRICS strategic partnership is gaining momentum. The association itself offers the world creative, forward-looking initiatives aimed at achieving the sustainable development goals, ensuring food and energy security, healthy growth of the world economy, conflict resolution, and combating climate change, including through the prism of a fair energy transition. To solve these problems, an extensive network of mechanisms has been created. The strategy of economic partnership until 2025 is being implemented, which defines the guidelines for cooperation in the medium term. The BRICS Energy Research Platform, launched on the Russian initiative, is functioning. The BRICS Center for Research and Development of Vaccines, designed to help develop effective responses to challenges to the epidemic well-being of our states, has started its work. Initiatives to promote trade and investment for sustainable development and expand cooperation in the field of supply chain were approved. The BRICS food security strategy was adopted. Among the absolute priorities are strengthening the potential of the new development bank, the BRICS currency reserve pool, improving payment mechanisms, and increasing the role of national currencies in mutual settlements. Members of the BRICS consistently advocate creating conditions for development of all states, which excludes the bloc logic of the Cold War and the geopolitical games with zero sum. BRICS strives to offer inclusive solutions based on a collective approach. In this context, it is natural that our association has many like-minded people around the world. BRICS is seen as a positive force that can strengthen the solidarity of the countries of the global South and the East and become one of the pillars of a new, more just, polycentric world order.